This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 673 for September 14th, 2020. Top 10 Looms.
John K with the OG flying shuttle.
It's very loomy in here.
Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpier.
Hello.
And the Nimp.
Hello.
Patreon.com/E1M1. The ones are numbers. You probably know the whole gist by this point. You get a whole bunch of exclusive early access behind the scenes audio. The Outcast every week. I think last week's was like 50 minutes long. Most of that is unheard, the stuff we talk about before we go live, uncensored too. So if you want to hear a bunch of bleeps and other bleeps, but unbleeped,
I literally just almost swore to prove a point.
If you want to hear what Moonpier almost said, you can hear. And this week, if you want to hear in-depth thoughts from Dune's biggest fan about the new trailers, that's in the Outcast.
Watch out for Moonpier's new shot-by-shot trailer recap.
Right, yeah. Check
now
it
you're
out.
just going to pressure me into doing it.
It's the best way to do it. You can't say no live.
That's right, peer
Yes, I
pressure.
can.
Yeah. You'll also get 2-month early access to TVGP's Critical Misses, the show where we go through all the hits we've missed. We're covering a lot of movies here. Some other stuff can happen in the future. But we just... Season 2 is in the can. We just did that. We're now working on Season 3, which means I think Season 1 is wrapping up for patrons. And Season 1 is well underway for the public feed. But if you want to get out ahead of that, join up the patron. And we're doing great on our Punish Me dollar value.
Give us the new total. What's the new total? How far away?
I think it's 127 when I looked at it last. So 127 out of $250. We're a little bit almost over 50%. Halfway to getting me to play scary games in the dark with headphones on late at night after my kid goes to bed. And as long as we can stay above 250, that'll be a regular thing. Heaven help me.
Do it. Do it. Tell two friends. Tell two friends who have $2 a month to spare. Tell three friends that have $1 a month to spare.
I forgot to tell these guys a little additional thing that I have an idea for. A little twist bonus for this goal if we meet it. So remind me, I'll tell you guys that after the show. But I'm not gonna promise it. You got to get to the 250 level to find out what.
Do we get to punch you if you die?
No, this isn't a giant bomb.
No,
I'm not punching people here.
It sounds like he wants us to do something.
No.
We can get one of those USB missile launchers that was big in like the 90s.
Just aim it right in my face and just...
Yeah, and every time you die, somebody gets to press the button. It can be yours, it can be a fan, someone just gets to press the button and fire a missile at you. It would be great. 2 jump scares for the price of 1. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, if it wasn't for the fact that Boston lives in a giant tinder box, I wouldn't mind flying to California to light off a Roman candle in his driveway.
Yes.
He died again. Yeah. Patreon.com/E1M1. Moonpier, what have you been playing this past week?
Okay, so I played a little bit of Apex this week. Not a whole lot, but a little bit of Apex. They're doing some interesting map rotations and stuff. So Kings Canyon After Dark is back, which was the map the Halloween event took on. That seems to be really not nice with its loot. Like, it's so barren compared to everywhere else.
All right.
But, it's a good mix. There's no music, there's no nothing. There's just ambient noise and footsteps and death awaits.
Oh, right, because the whole original event was like the zombie footsteps.
Zombies mode, yes.
Right. Cool.
So that's there, but it's just a proper mode now. It's just standard battle royale, except the map is in dark, and there's like 1,000,001 digital threat sites, which is the ones that when you look down sites, it has the red outlines where you see people.
Oh, right.
So many of those on the map because it's like you can't complain about it being dark because there's a digital site around every corner It's like, I just want a level 3 extended heavy mag, not 7 digital sights. Thank you.
Right.
Yes, play some more Apex, slowly working away at the battle pass. 58 days left to go. That's fine. Still plenty of time. I'm like 15. I'm like 25% of the way there already. No, 20%.
Okay.
20%. I'm like level 20. So 20%.
This is how it always starts for you, though. Oh, there's plenty of time. 10 days
100%.
left. I'm still level 25.
I'll like hit a wall around about level 70. I'll hit a wall where I'll take a break for 4 weeks, and then I realize that I've got a week left to go, and it's just like, crap. Now I'm just gonna play Apex. But yes, I'm continuing to play Apex. I'm trying to do a toe dipping where I'm not playing it enough to get frustrated. If I do start to get frustrated, I stop playing immediately.
A handful of matches every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not like you, Boston. I'm not playing no Fortnite against bots and getting victory royale and claiming I'm the greatest thing in the world.
Shots fired.
How dare you? I'm playing Fall Guys against bots.
To give you an idea, though, like I am level 190 in that game.
Mm-hmm.
My wife is level 396, I think.
Okay.
And M, who we play with, who started the game after I did by a good 6 months, is level like 256.
Like, I thought you were going to say like 1,200.
No, like I think the level cap now is like 400 or 500, and like these two they take me and they tread me into the dirt. Mostly it's because they both get to play while I'm still at work. Lucky people.
Right.
But no, Apex is fun. It's still great. I'm still loving playing it. I love the mobility on it. I still love everything about the way it plays. The meta is a bit broken right now, but that's fine. I'm not going to be one of those people who talks about Apex every week and specifically how the meta is broken and what they need to do to fix it. And oh my OMG Rampart OP needs nerf. Like I'm not one of those guys.
Right.
I'm just not. So play Apex if you like it. Don't play Apex if you don't. It's no skin off my back. Although
it's a good game.
It's a good game. So next game I played, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2, aka Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, aka who knows what to call this game anymore.
It's really good.
It's real good. Like I'm almost done with the Pro Skater 2 campaign now.
Okay.
I've 100%ed the level specific goals on the first one, and I'm 2 levels left, I think, on Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2.
Okay.
Again, I think I mentioned it last week, or maybe when I started talking about this game. It's one of those games that plays how you remember, especially the fact that it has manuals and reverts in, which the first game didn't, and the second game didn't have the reverts. So the fact that it plays so well is just so great. And yeah, I like seeing a 50-year-old Tony Hawk fall over and go, ugh. Like, it's genuinely hilarious. It's done a service to that franchise that feels like it hasn't been done since like Tony Hawk Underground 2, which is when things started getting real sketchy, to excuse the pun.
I mean, some people would even argue that like Tony Hawk 2, like on the Dreamcast or the original Xbox, was like the last one. Like Tony Hawk, what was it, 2X came out on the original Xbox?
Yeah, 2X, and I think it was the same. The GameCube got the same version, except the GameCube, I think, got the Metal Gear Solid 2 level in it, where you could skate as Snake, just to be a little bit crazy.
Right, because that came out on... It also was on the MGS2 re-release, but only the Xbox version?
Possibly, who knows?
MGS2 is weird, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking
but yes, a Snake skating game exists in an MGS2, in a version of MGS2 and a version of Tony Hawk.
Yes, and he literally, it's him skating on the big shell.
Yes. It's really good.
Okay, sure, why not? Let's just go there. Weird game-breaking worlds. No, Tony Hawk's, it's so good, and the amount of content, like they've added so many additional different challenges, and they're like, now, like I'm playing as a custom skater mostly, so when I'm skating, it has like amateur challenges, veteran challenges, and legends challenges, which are specific things that it asks you to do to unlock decks. yo, dude, they put animated decks in the game.
Whoa.
So you can
Call
have
of Duty, am I right?
this GIF on the bottom of your skateboard, like
That's
essentially. Cool. And it does like this cool little. It looks like a hologram though, so it's kind of a little bit more believable.
cool.
Where it's like one angle is one thing, one angle is a different thing. It looks
That's
like those
cool.
old school holograms. But the challenges it does, it's like okay, you've got 6 special moves, which is there's 8 slots, but you using basic stuff you can unlock 6. It's like cool. How do I unlock these last 2 again? Because I've got 2 grabs, I've got 2 flip tricks, I've got 1 manual, and I've got 1 lip trick. I want another manual special, and I want another grab special. That's what I do. So how do I unlock those? And it's like, okay, do a 5-move combo that totals up to more than 40,000 points with no specials, only 1 revet, and only 1 manual.
Oh, boy.
So it gives you a very specific set of instructions, and you need a very specific set of skills to be able to pull that off. Liam Neeson couldn't do this, is what I'm saying.
Right.
I was going to say, were you on the phone with somebody getting these instructions?
Right.
Yes.
High precision drivers.
It gives you that like very specific set of instructions. It's just like, go do this, then we'll give you another board and you can get another special slot.
That's cool.
My favorite thing is to do the challenges, all of the game modifiers must be turned off. And the game modifiers are always special, moon gravity, all that kind of stuff.
Sure, so like cheats.
Yeah. So basically the old cheats from the old game, like they all need to be turned off. And I probably banged my head against one of them for like 25 minutes because I was in a map that wasn't suitable for it. And me being me, rather than just going to a different map and then doing it there, I just kept on banging my head against it until I did it. And then I did it and I got my special slot. And now I do the 1 foot and 1 wheel nose manual as my second manual special.
Snazzy.
I like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. It's the Animal Crossing for the end of 2020.
Right.
Where Animal Crossing came out right at the start of 2020, perfectly timed. Everyone had just gone into lockdown. It was a good, happy green grass, blue skies and green grass and high tides kind of game where everybody could just chill, enjoy their time, work on their islands, break the game, don't break the game, whatever. And this feels like that second injection that we needed this year of just like
of anarchy.
Remember, come on, it's something that makes you feel all good and squishy inside.
Yep.
So it's really helped with the back end of this year. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, shockingly a fantastic game. Shockingly not $60.
Thank goodness.
What's going on with Activision? Like,
I like it.
like I don't know what happened. And I played Hot Shot Racing.
Okay.
Which is a brand new release on Game Pass. I like Game Pass, in case you didn't know, folks. Which is a cel-shaded arcadey racing game.
Okay.
It looks like Daytona. I'm not saying it looks like Daytona in the fact that it's trying to be realistic. I'm trying to say it looks pixelated and boxy as all kinds of hell because that's how Daytona looked back in the day. But it's basically Mario Kart without Nintendo characters.
Okay.
Like, there is, well, maybe not Mario Kart because there's no items that I've seen. But it's just a straight race. It's make it to the checkpoints, get extended time, do really sick drifts around corners, slipstream, boost, all that jazz. And it's got like 9 characters, and each character has got 4 or 5 vehicles to pick from that all have different pros and cons kind of thing. It's kind of a little bit insane and kind of a little bit great. And it just brings back to me the feeling of Daytona and the feeling of Outrun when it came out on the Xbox Live Arcade. Like, it's got that kind of vibe to it, except it's got, Grand Prix and knockouts and tournaments and cops and robbers modes and online play and everything else. Like, it's a fun little game. I've barely scratched it at the minute. I've just tried it out the other day as like a palate cleanser, shall we say. From my final game this week, which is Spiritfarer.
Yeah.
I am rapidly approaching the end.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Which is to say, I'm pretty sure I only have one more spirit to find.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the process of looking for them right now because I just got the mist cleaner.
Okay.
I had 3 goodbyes to say this week.
Oh, woof.
One of them was a particular kick in the teeth, which I mentioned this. I think I mentioned this on Twitter. I can't even remember what he said, but I said goodbye to Giovanni, and that was a very good get your backside out off my boat, please. I
Right.
hate you. And then in the 2 minutes of the boat journey, he immediately redeems himself by saying one of the most profound things I've heard somebody say in a video game in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
It's
dude,
like, how could you?
like, you're literally the worst womanizing dog of a person ever.
Yep.
He's a wolf, so it kind of makes sense. Ha ha ha. He's a dog. Get it? Wolf. And then he drops that bombshell, and it's just like, really? We're going to do that now?
Right.
You're going to make me feel for this a-hole?
You're gonna make me feel things?
Uh-huh.
You jerk.
But yeah, I offed him to his pop and said goodbye. I met with the thing that you meet with at the start of the game for the second time.
Okay.
80s.
Yep. And then I said another 2 quick goodbyes. One was to Astrid, which was a little bit rough.
Yeah.
But then I think my memory is so bad. Then I said goodbye to Spencer, I think it is.
What animal was he? The bird?
Nope. That's... One of the beds is Buck. One of the beds is...
Oh, so you've already found Buck?
Yes.
Okay.
I found Buck. I think I've got one left, based on the houses.
You're probably looking for the snooty dog as the last one.
Probably. It doesn't. I don't think I've had a snooty dog on my boat yet. But no.
You would very clearly know. That's a very distinct character. Oh,
The toadstool?
Mm-hmm. Is it Spencer?
No, it's no, he has a cool name. Atul.
No, Atul is the toad.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I'm talking about the toadstool, the mushroom kid.
Oh God. Yeah, break my heart. Jesus. God, I forgot about him. Oh,
He's
man.
the one I said goodbye to after saying goodbye to Astrid.
Woof.
So, yeah, that wasn't fun.
What great character development.
Like, I get it. Like, he's a toadstool and he's mischievous, and, you know, his minigame is actually really kind of fun, chasing those stupid things around.
He's very clearly a kid. Like,
yeah, and like he gives you really bad drawings of everybody when he's in a good mood.
It's really good.
Like, it's really solid, and you know, like Giovanni is a grandparent at this point. You know it is. You know, the same with Astrid. You know, Atul is probably somebody's like great. He's probably your great uncle. I still haven't said goodbye to him. I have his mission. He is not leaving my boat yet. Atul does not go until I say he goes, and I'm pretty sure I've got his final mission, and he's staying. Giovanni is ready to go, but I still need to make sure I get him into the static face. So I'm slowly trying to figure out exactly what his favorite meal is, because that's the thing that I know will kick him up to the ecstatic mood.
Right.
Yes, the game has achievements. Yes, I'm still going to go for them. Yes, I can still feel.
The only one I didn't get was the one for
you're
making
about to say
everybody.
something that really annoys me.
Yeah, the one I didn't get was the one for making everybody ecstatic, and I know who it was, and it was the snooty dog.
Snooty dog.
Pro tip: don't try to hug the snooty dog, because the dog says, "Don't hug me," and do exactly what that character says, and you should be fine. And look up what their favorite food is, and just like feed it to them right away.
Okay. So Snooty Dog is snooty in every aspect. That's good to know.
That's the tough one. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm working on I one size left of boat to do.
Okay.
Like which is the 80,000 glims one. Like that's the only one I've got left to do. The bright side is, because I'm lazy, I couldn't be bothered editing and reorganizing my boat. So right now, my boat is pretty much split like maybe 60% across the boat. It's just a hard stop, and then there's a whole bunch of space to the right of it.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I do one of the events which involves things falling from the sky, for example, the lightning, the comets, the meteors,
Mm-hmm.
anything like that, or the bugs, I just head them all to the right-hand side of the boat where they
sure.
have nowhere to jump, nowhere to run, and then I just collect them all at once.
Smart.
Like the comet one, the Giovanni's event where the comet rocks come down. If you just run all the way to the right with this big huge space that I've got, the comets all come in from the right, land on the flat deck of the ship. I run left, collect them all, run right, wait for the next lot, run left, collect them all, run right,
Smart.
wait for the next lot.
Like
Smart, but I have wasted so much time building so much stuff that I don't need, but that's fine. Like, saying goodbye to the Toad Kid was particularly rough.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's a kid, and he's a kid who died, which is a problem.
Well, and his storyline is all... I don't want to spoil it too much, but because he's a kid, he's talking a lot about his life, and all of it sounds like it super sucked. It's...
And he also
doesn't
understand,
bad.
like, criticism does not mean that we think you're a bad person.
Right.
Like, so he literally, as a kid would, he takes everything to heart.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, he did his play, and I took along some people who genuinely liked it, like Giovanni and Buck were the two people I took to it.
Oh, I bet
I
Buck
probably should
loved
have
it.
taken Atul, because he probably would have said nothing bad at all.
Yeah.
But I did that whole thing. And yeah, the game has essentially one missable achievement.
Yeah, there's a way to game it where you the achievement pops and you like close it. I didn't know it either, but I looked it up later. I'm like, how am I supposed to get this other one? Is it just literally answer no when I answered yes? And someone's like,
100%.
yeah, once the achievement pops, just close the game and start back over and get the other one. I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's fine.
Yeah. There's one thing that bothers me. Yes, this is my green showing again. If you're going to have a game that needs multiple playthroughs to get achievements, that's fine. Minimal 2 playthroughs, minimal 3 playthroughs, whatever. Paragon Renegade endings, fine, whatever. That's 2 full playthroughs. Don't make me play 25 to 50% of the way of the game because I didn't choose one of 2 options.
Right. Like without really knowing it first. Because a lot of the achievements are hidden.
Yeah, and that's literally one decision, which both of them are hidden achievements. That's one decision where if I would have known, I would have chose the one I didn't want to pick and then quitted and chose the other one I wanted to pick. But this is a game I deliberately didn't do that for. I didn't read about every single achievement in the game beforehand because I just wanted to kind of play it and enjoy it.
And a lot of them are easy because it's like, upgrade this person's house all the way. And it's like, they hide those because you don't want to know all the characters' names.
Yeah, exactly. And that's fine. Except for when it bones me like this by just being like, okay, by the way, play half of the game again. Have fun.
Right. And the game isn't like the longest game ever, but it's long enough that you're going to be playing a pretty significant amount of it.
Yeah. And to be honest, I want this to be one playthrough and done.
Yeah. Yep.
Because it makes sense as a one playthrough and done game. But then there's that completionist in me who knows that that's a relatively easy achievement to get, and I should just plow through the first 5 hours of the game again just to get that one achievement and get it boxed off. I already uninstalled Fast and the Furious because I ain't getting those achievements anytime soon.
No, Jesus.
I have my limits.
Yeah.
But no, Spiritfarer continues to be, for me, I know you were tracking it for a long time. For me, it continues to be one of the biggest surprises of this year. Yeah. Like, fantastically done. It's funny because my wife sits next to me and plays Daisy or whatever she's playing on, Siege. She's on a big Siege kick at the moment. And she'll just sit there and watch the art style and the animations while she's in loading
so good looking
stuff. It's really solid.
Yeah.
Like, and it's well told. It's maybe a little bit wordy, maybe a little bit, too animation focused. Like, give me an upgrade that just puts sprinkler systems in the fields, and I would be greatly appreciated.
Right.
Just keep going through thunderstorms.
Rain. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
But
all
I'm too
over the
lazy.
place.
I'm too lazy. I go to the bus stop and I teleport to the closest bus stop and then sail from there.
I
There's
eventually
got to be a thunderstorm right there somewhere.
I eventually just stopped doing it. Like once I made all the recipes, I was like, well, I'm just not gonna plant stuff anymore.
I'm waiting on peaches at the moment so I can start working on the recipes. So that's interesting. I also need to go visit Susan because I'm pretty sure I've completed like 5 more stages of the collections.
She's so great. I love that it's like this subversive, because for anyone that hasn't played it, Susan's this collector and she's like cataloging everything in the world. And normally in these games, it's like, oh, thank God you're back. You brought me so many new things. And Susan's like, oh, hooray. You mine more minerals. Fantastic. Good for you. Like she hates you. She hates having
Take
to do
your
the
junk
job.
and go.
Yeah, she's just like, oh great, you brought me more useless dolls. Thanks. Now I'd find somewhere to put these, jerk. It's just like
she's the
it's
inverse
really
of
good.
Blathers from Animal Crossing.
100%.
Blathers
She
is so
she
happy
hates you.
and-
She doesn't want you around.
Mm-hmm.
It's great.
Yeah, Spiritfarer is a genuinely great game, and
Yep.
you should go give it a try if you haven't yet.
It's really great.
That's all I've been playing. Mr. Nimp, tell me about your 7 games with 16 titles.
Yeah, you wish. I was also playing Spiritfarer, but the only thing I did was I said goodbye to Giovanni. That was it.
Mhm.
So I haven't been able to do much with anything else. Although I do have a question for both of you.
Yes.
With the lighthouses, am I waiting for an in-game skill or something to do something with those?
Is
Yeah.
that book by any chance?
That's
because I
book.
still haven't.
Yeah.
I haven't done anything
Okay.
with that.
His
but
quest
you find
is
him right next to one, and I figured it was his thing.
Yeah, his
Okay.
quest is longer than I was expecting. It's not bad, but there's a lot to it. And at some point, he's like, all right, now we need to go. I'll teach you my mini game, and we'll use that to light the lighthouses too.
Okay. Because I
XP
found
potions?
like 2 or 3 of them, but I just can't. I can climb to the top. I just haven't been able to do anything.
Yeah, and
about
the
it.
game's
I'm
like
all right, whatever.
0 out of 1 lighthouses. And it's just like, what am
Yeah.
I doing?
So I've been playing that. I've been playing co-op with my kids, who both really love the game. And after that, I started playing Mario Kart on the Wii U with
Mario
my
Kart
daughter.
8 Deluxe with the Mercedes
I-
DLC.
I don't remember. Yeah, I think that sounds familiar.
The Mercedes DLC. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so my daughter and I started playing that again. We already unlocked everything except for like a couple tires and some parachutes or whatever.
Mhm.
But I forget how much this game loves to screw whoever's in first place. And
Blue
yeah,
shell for life.
yeah, and the rubber banding. And I can't tell you how many times I was in first, way out of the pack, and all of a sudden I get blue shelled, I get inked, and then
Hit
I
with
get like, the
lightning.
thunderbolt thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
that shrinks you. And then I'm at the back of the pack.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
like, thanks, game.
Yep, screw this game.
Yeah.
So, after doing like 2 Grand Prix in that with my daughter, we decided to play Just Dance on the Wii U as well, which I think is 2018. I didn't look at it.
It's one of the years, one of the games. It's still coming out on the PlayStation 2 at this point, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. We did that for a long time. I
nice.
was working up a sweat playing that game.
Yeah.
And I was getting maybe 2 or 3 stars while my daughter is just sitting there pulling perfects on everything and getting like 4 to 5 stars. I'm done. I'm too
Dude,
tired for that.
in all honesty, I would rather have it that way than the last time I experienced Dance Central was with a friend who has rhythm and does dance and is a great dancer. She was a genuinely good dancer. I am not. I have no rhythm. I am the gangliest white dude you've probably ever seen. I cannot dance for the life of me. But when I play Dance Central, it's not a dance to me. It's a video game. And I'm
Right.
good at video games. And I got so much hatred flung my way because I literally could execute this video game better than the dancer could. It's like, I'm just good at video games. I'm crap at dancing. We all know this.
Right.
Well, and I'm not. I think for the Wii U version, we don't have the camera up for the Wii U, so we've just been using the tablet, that sensor, and I think it keeps going back and forth between just capturing what your what do they call that? Remote. There we go. I was gonna call it a Joy-Con. The Wii U remote. The gyro in it, I think it's just trying to keep pace with, what your rhythm is with that more so than it is visually checking you. Because I was like following the person on the screen, no problem. But my daughter's dancing around and getting all these, which she's gotten really good at the game. She's only screwed around a little bit. So,
right.
But whatever. I'm too tired for that. It was like 10 in the morning. I shouldn't have been awake anyway.
Right.
So after that, I then played Fall Guys with my son. And this has been the first time in a couple weeks that I've played it. And I have seen that people have developed strategies for screwing over everybody else in this game.
You want to know what I don't like about Fall Guys? People grabbing each other.
Yes.
I don't like it.
I also really don't like people that stand on the one walkway that everyone has to get to, and you can't get past them because of physics, and everyone just bounces off the one person.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, the grabbing is what it is. It's going to be mostly used to throw people off the edge, and that's fine. But I do like it when you get those wholesome meme videos of people being like, "Look, this dude was AFK, so I just dragged him to the right vegetable thing on the." It's worth it for stuff like that.
Yeah.
Mine is just like the dumb, stupid crap where it's like I already have enough problems with my little thumb character being able to stand up straight to begin with. I mean, This is basically a drunk simulator. I mean, this guy cannot stand on his own 2 feet.
You look at them wrong and they fall over. Like that's been my frustration. Is like I don't find it fun that I'm doing like rollout and I'm just trying to stay alive, and someone like grabs me at like just the right angle and just like pushes me into a hole. It's like, why? Like we don't have to. Both of us can make it. Look, these people over here that are playing, like, have already fallen off. There's 14 out of the 16 eliminated. Just leave me alone.
Dude, this isn't Robot Jocks. This isn't a we can both live kind of moment.
It's frustrating because I get it, and it makes a lot of good videos, but I wish it wasn't in the game, because I think the game is fun enough competing without it that I think it would still be a good game without it. But if anyone wants to call me soft, whatever, I'm soft.
Well, I think the physics still need to be tweaked a little bit, because if there is a person standing in the middle of a walkway and if I bump into them and it bounces me off, it should bounce them off too. They shouldn't be a solid anchor sitting in my way.
I'm sure you're specifically thinking about Slime Climb.
Yes.
Yep.
Very specifically.
Going up those yellow hot dogs, and someone's like, "Hey, I'm right here," and it's like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Which is already a pain in the butt to begin with.
Yes.
But yeah,
I've done a lot of like, can I jump and dive over these people? Yes, I can. See you, jerks.
I've done that before. I've actually managed to jump on top of another person and bounce off them and be able to get past them.
Yeah.
But it's just, man, I don't have time for this crap.
I'm so glad I haven't played this game, because this sounds an awful lot like the new Super Mario Brothers experience, which I played with my sister and my father, so that was literally a nightmare incarnate.
Well, part of what I'm not that mad about it in Fall Guys, because number one, I got my like third win or second win or something. Like, even if you win the episode, it's like 12 minutes max. Getting back into a game, since it's 60 people, is like 15 seconds. Like, if I get pushed off in a game, or like I just totally mess up Fruit Shoot, like, it doesn't matter, because I just exit out and I get right back in pretty immediately. So like, it's not one of those things where it's like I'm choosing where to drop in and I'm jumping out of this thing and I'm just right back in there.
Yeah, it's my biggest complaint about Battle Royales is I just spent 40 minutes getting all this loot to get ambushed and killed within 2 seconds flat. I did 0 damage, 0 kills. I made no progress towards anything. Thank you, I'm done.
Right.
My biggest comparison is, and Boston's going to hate me for this, isn't like Destiny, where I put 4 hours into something and then we got screwed, and now I'm mad, and now I'm watching a 5-minute load bar to get me back to the start.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's the thing that is so great about Fall Guys is the thing that was always so great about any, like, it was so great about the Tony Hawk games. I die and I like totally wipe out in the middle of a perfect combo. I hit start, I hit restart, and I'm immediately back in. Fall Guys, even with needing 59 other people, you're immediately right back in, and you're just back to playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't had any server issues.
Nope.
My son's been playing it a lot more than I have. He got kicked out of one of our games, I think.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah, but outside of that, I mean, we played like 6 or 7 games back to back with no issues after that.
I played like 2 or 3 games, win or lose. I play 2 or 3 games every day, and it's been really solid.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're improving. They're getting better. Yep. Hopefully, they'll get a physics patch in there.
Well, I'm hoping that'll be part of Season 2, because it looks like Season 2, based on the trailer, is going to be significantly different from a game standpoint, because they're looking at adding a whole bunch of new games. So I'm wondering if they kind of take a pass at it then.
Maybe. Who knows? But my last game this week is Bloodborne.
Ah.
I got a real big itch to get back into this game again, randomly.
Right.
I think it was going back this past week and getting my Canehurst armor, and it's like, well, I've got the armor now. Let me just go screw around for a bit.
Right.
And then, oops, I found a boss.
The Bloodborne way.
Yeah. So I got into this area called Nightmare Frontier, which is a swamp place, basically, kind of. There's a lot of tombstones, and it's got two enemies that I absolutely hate. One is an ogre type enemy that throws rocks at you. One area that I'm thinking of, there's 3 of them, and they're all strategically placed so that you can only get to one at a time.
Mm.
And then they throw rocks at you, which are easy to avoid. But the problem is that when these rocks hit the ground and they shatter, as they're disappearing, their hitbox is still active. So what you would normally presume to be an active hit, I guess, you're still taking tons of damage for, because this fading out rock managed to hit your hitbox.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks more because you are in this area that has a bunch of tiny little tombstones that are about knee high. So anytime you think you're in an open area and you're trying to roll to avoid getting hit by anything, you're stuck on a tombstone.
Oh, okay.
And then you take a rock to the face. So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I hate that level. I get further into the level and I run into a new type of enemy that I don't believe I've ever run into. This enemy sucks because, as I found out, I was getting invaded a lot in this area.
Oh, no.
And by people who don't know, when you get invaded, it's other players invading your world to screw you over more than the game is.
I'm curious if this is the castle from Dark Souls 1. Like, whenever you get to that castle at Dark Souls 1, that's the invasion zone. Like, that's where everybody invades because they can just kick you off an edge and go, ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
And wait for you to respawn and kick you off another edge. Like, that's it. Like, that's that zone in Dark Souls 1.
So, I get into this new section in Nightmare Frontier, and I can hear a bell in the distance. That doesn't mean anything to me until my screen says that I've been invaded.
Oh, boy.
Great. So instead of taking my slow, normal time getting through a level, I am just hauling ass through this level.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one guy in red chasing me who's an actual player, and I've got every enemy that I've aggroed chasing me. Apparently they don't attack the people that are invading you, which fine, whatever, screw it. So I am just running through this area, and then I find this enemy that is ringing a bell. And they were in my way. I killed them because I needed to get past this thing so I could get down these steps to go to God only knows where. And as soon as I kill this enemy, the invader leaves.
Oh, weird.
Yep. So it's specifically an invasion zone.
Yeah, so what's happening is...
it's summoning
Yep.
them.
Yeah, so they have an enemy in this game that which calls in invaders to come after you, which makes a crappy level even crappier.
Yeah. Oof.
So once I get through all that crap, and during this time I kind of kamikaze off of a tombstone, which was probably the best idea I had because that turned out to be a shortcut and I didn't die. So I was able to get back into the area I needed to get into, that I was getting chased by everything with no issues. And then I found the boss. So
Man.
This boss, what is it? Amygdala? Sure, we'll go with Dala.
Okay.
Why not? Yeah, I don't know how these things are pronounced. everyone that my group of friends that have been giving me like these little hints or whatever, these little things like, hey, you should recheck this area, or hey, you should really look at this item, or hey, you missed something. They told me flat out, go to the base of this boss, which is a massive boss, and just stay by its legs and attack its legs. You'll be fine.
Okay. Sounds like a trap. Okay.
Yeah. And that's kind of how I took it as, but I don't know. I don't know if I was just having a bad time of it or what, because later on I looked up videos for this boss after I had beaten the boss, and that's a sound strategy apparently.
Oh.
It wasn't for my game.
Of course not.
So the idea behind staying underneath this boss is the fact that most of its attacks can't hit you. The only thing that it can do is it'll stomp the ground with its feet, which is what you're trying to attack, and it will do this jump in the air and try to land on top of you.
Mm-hmm.
The only real issue is that its legs are armored, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing like a tenth of the damage that you normally would be doing. So you're just kind of whacking away at its legs. You're hoping to break it. When you break its leg, you get to do almost normal damage, but then its leg goes back to being armored after some point.
Oh, okay.
What I found out the stomping that the boss does is real easy to roll away from because it telegraphs it pretty well by lifting its leg. Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, I should move. All right, no problem. The jumping, I actually found out that while you're underneath it, if it jumps up in the air, if you just stand still, its attack completely misses you.
Oh, weird.
So I was like, okay, I can see why people are doing this. I could not handle being under a boss for 15, 20 minutes and taking off maybe a tiny little sliver of its health.
A pixel of health.
Yeah. So I died like 7 or 8 times trying to fight this boss that way, and on the 9th time of trying to do it, just like, screw it, I'm just gonna back up, I'm gonna see what all it does for attacks, I'm gonna see if I can figure out how to hit it better, and that actually went a lot better for me. The other main attacks that I was apparently missing out on are all these attacks that everyone hates, and I don't know why, because it will shoot an I-beam out and it will laser the ground, and if it hits you, it does a fair bit of damage, but then the area that it lasered will also blow up. Which will really screw you up. What I was finding with my plus 7 Sword of Holiness is that I can reach its head while it's up in the air.
Oh.
And I'm doing like massive amounts of damage hitting it in the head with my sword. And then I also discovered this thing in the game, because I don't use items, called fire paper. Mm-hmm. Where with the flick of my wrist, my giant plus 7 holy sword turns into this giant plus 7 flaming holy sword.
Yeah, there we go.
And the damage was on, and I pretty much dropped it within about 4 or 5 hits.
Oh, jeez. That works, all right.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, cool. My favorite sword that I've been using this entire game since I got it. It's awesome.
It's just getting better.
It's basically my gunship in this game. So from there, I did a little bit exploring. I managed to get into, I don't know if I wrote down the region, but I came across another boss called the One Reborn. Mm-hmm. And this was actually, if anyone had watched my Twitter, this was the boss that I randomly woke up from a dead sleep because my mind decided it knew how to beat it. And then I went and fought it and killed it.
Eureka!
Yeah. So what this one is that you go into this really massive arena, and it's got 2 stories. On top, there are, I guess, like these witches that summon this boss, and it comes in, and you have to deal with this boss and the witches on top, and there's 3 on each side. So I found a staircase, ran up the staircase, killed all the witches, which made the fight a lot easier because they shoot you with like this magic that really jacks you up and screws you up. After killing them, I was like, all right, let's see what's going on. And as I'm looking over the guardrail, the One Reborn decides to jump up onto the 2nd story. I'm like, oh, this is a bad idea. Run back downstairs, it comes back down. I'm like, oh, hey, I see a gap in the railing over there. So I run back upstairs the other way, flick my fire paper to make my now plus 9 fire holy sword.
Yeah.
And I plunge that boss and take it down to half health in one hit.
Oh, Jesus.
And then I just attacked it a couple more times, and that thing was gone.
So good.
It's like, yep. So I go into my lantern, save my game. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm still good at this game.
Yep.
And then I went back to bed.
Ending on a high note.
Yeah. So I was actually given, before I started, a PDF of like, basically it was like a wanted poster of like all these bosses for Bloodborne. And so I have like X's going through all of them. And it's actually really cool because I don't know what's doing this. I think it's Microsoft Photo Editor. Every time you open up that file, it shows up blank, and then it slowly draws all my X's over all the photos, and that makes me very happy.
Yeah.
But I am down to the last 5 bosses. 2 of them are optional, and one of them's missable, and the other 3, I think right now, are the 3 main that I have to do to beat the story.
Oh, okay.
So I'm almost there.
Getting close.
Yeah, my Ludwig's Holy Sword is really coming through on me.
Yeah.
I love that thing.
Man.
And I've never... So, also for those of you that don't know, you're supposed to play this with basically a gun in one hand and a weapon in the other hand. I've been two-handing this weapon since I got it probably like 20 hours ago in this game. Because if I don't kill it outright, if I hit it a second time, it's going to stun lock it for a second. Doesn't matter if it's a normal enemy or like one of the elite enemies. And if it's a boss, chances are it can stun it if I hit it like 4 or 5 times with this sword. So there's no real reason for me to get good at dodging. That's what I do.
Yeah.
The guns is the get good at countering option.
Well, and because that's how I play Dark Souls all the time too. I never played with a shield. I always played with a 2-handed weapon. And I would always be that idiot in full armor who's fat rolling everywhere, but I still managed to get the dodge off because I knew when the attack would hit to make damage, and I knew how long my invincibility was for rolling. So,
right.
Yeah. I can't say that I like these games, but I'm starting to enjoy playing Bloodborne again.
Right.
But that's all I've been playing this week.
As Moon alluded to earlier, I got my first legitimate victory in Fortnite Battle
Against
Royale.
bots. I get it.
No. It was one of those really weird things because we're down to like the final 10, and I had to scope out the area. I was on top of a building, like a fairly high building. It's like a 3-story building. And I was in like a one-on-one shootout. I had a scoped auto rifle, and the other person had a bolt-action sniper rifle. And we're sort of both picking each other off, and then I managed to kill them, and we'd been fighting for so long that we were suddenly the last 2 people, and it was just like, Victory Royale, and I was like, that's me. Oh, hey. Okay.
So, you've played a lot of Fortnite. You've mentioned before this is on your rotation to play. So I have to ask, are you now one of those players who the second you hear gunfire turn into a 6-story mansion? Or
no, I hate it. I still refuse. The only time I will build any structures is to get from point A to point B to like open a chest or get some ammo or something. I never do it to... It works really well for me because whenever I hear gunfire, I just start moving that way, and people expect you to like turn into like a Victorian mansion at the drop of a hat. And when you're just running at them with like an SMG, they have no idea what to do. Like they genuinely just have no clue what's going on. And it works to my advantage more often than not because no one is expecting you to be crouching down behind a hill. They're expecting to see this like A-frame monstrosity up 15 stories in the sky. So
it's because you're not playing a gentleman's game. That's why.
I am playing a gentleman's game. I'm fighting people. I'm not just like making a skyscraper and being like, look at me with my sniper rifle up here in the heavens.
It's like the inverse of Prey. Like when you started playing Prey, the new one, I was saying to everybody, look up. There are options around. Look up.
There's so much stuff.
Like Fortnite is the versus version of that, where you keep looking up because you're expecting people to go up, and then by looking up all the time, you miss what's on the ground, or in your case, hiding in a bush behind a hill.
I mean, there's a bunch of mechanics people don't use either, like push in the left stick and you walk, which doesn't make any noise. Like a lot of people, if you hear someone traipsing around in a house, just kind of like walk into a corner and wait for them with a charged shotgun or like Tony Stark's energy rifle, which is way stronger than it should be. Epic. I don't know why that gun is so strong.
Sponsored content.
Well, what's really funny is there was a video this week at Reset, which happens, I think, on Thursday. I don't even know. Where they're like, Tony Stark's labs have arrived. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, yeah, now you can fight Tony Stark. Like, you can fight Iron Man. The previous couple weeks were like, this soccer field opened up and Doctor Doom has a lair under there and you can go fight him. And I don't know how this happened, but they just, when you land on this landmass, it just says Upper New York State. And they just teleported this round chunk of Upper New York State onto the middle of this map. And it looks totally out of place in a hilarious, like, comic book way, where it's like, this is suddenly here now. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Great. That's fine. I did get the Groot backpack now, the baby Groot doing the little dance from the second movie. Or first one? One of them.
Second.
No, it's the end of the first one.
Yeah, end of the first one.
That's right. He's a teenager in the second movie, isn't he?
Yeah. It's been a while. I like that first movie.
Yeah.
What else did I get? I got the next step for Wolverine. I think there's like 1 or 2 more steps until he's unlocked. I did the unlocking stuff for She-Hulk, which her emote turns her into Red She-Hulk, which is really great. I'm working my way towards unlocking Storm. I'm really excited to unlock her because she looks super cool. And I'm just having fun with Fortnite. Like, there's something about these games that I stick with, like Fall Guys and Fortnite. I can play like a match or 2 a day more often than not. A lot of times in Fortnite, I land and I'm like, all right, I just scooped up a bunch of good gear. Killed, placed 85th. It's like, okay. For some reason, that never really tilts me in Fortnite. I got tilted in some Apex stuff, and I got pretty salty. But for some reason, with whatever games I stick with, I never really get tilted like that. I need to give Apex another shot, but it would be nice if they had cross-platform save. That would be super great.
Cross-platform play.
Save. I don't mind playing it on different platforms. I just don't want to like start the battle pass back over on another platform. That's the stuff that really, because like I wouldn't mind like playing with you and Jess on firing up my ancient and ailing Xbox. Like that wouldn't be a problem. But I don't want to have like, if I enjoy the game, I don't want to be playing with some people over on PS4 where I'm like level 30 and over here on Xbox where I'm like level 15. Like that stinks. Someday. Maybe once they get that fat EA money, they'll do it. Whoops. The only other game I played this week, because I played a lot of the game we're playing for We Rogue Like It, sort of unexpectedly. Played a bunch more multiplayer No Man's Sky with my wife. Found a really solid planet, built a base there, going through that horrible tooth-pulling base building stuff that I am not going to do because it is agonizingly boring. I don't want to sit down, like I talked about last week. I don't want to set down roots. I want to go explore. I have a teleporter there, so I can always come back and then I can teleport to wherever I was. So that's fine, but I like the upgrades they've done to the freighters so that you can build the majority of the stuff you would build in your base in the freighter. So you can either...
You've got like a mobile base.
Yeah, and like I have a mobile storage, and you can build like 9 or 10 storage containers that you don't need to power like the ones in your on-planet base. And each one of those has like 20 slots in them. So I just have this roving pack mule basically following me around, and that to me feels a lot better because I like the exploration stuff. And the base building it's fine. There's some pretty fun writing where you're building these terminals and you're recruiting scientists and managers and laborers and stuff from across the galaxy. I think that sort of stuff is kind of fun. But I don't know. I like chilling and I like exploring in No Man's Sky and listening to the music and doing the warps and fighting pirates and like that stuff. That stuff clicks with me in a way that I know that virtually nobody else has enjoyed since that game launched, and that's okay.
I've been enjoying that game, but you know what? It hurts my very soul to hear that you are having absolutely no issues. Meanwhile, my son and I, every time we turn this game on, feel like that we are operating Apollo 13, where one of us has a manual and we're trying to troubleshoot what is going on and why this is happening.
Make no mistake, I definitely have a lot of issues, and I just leave that planet. There's a lot of planets where it's just like, hey, the ground texture didn't draw. It's like, cool, see you later. Leaving.
Yeah.
I'm going. The one thing
except for the fact that when you jump out of your ship and then the ground texture disappears and then you're just infinitely falling.
Yeah, thankfully I haven't run into that quite yet, but it'll come for me too. The new thing I did this week is I sought out one of the derelict freighters. That was the like quote unquote horror spooky stuff they just added recently.
Yeah.
It's not great. They take away your jetpack, and they strongly encourage you to not run. You're just doing like the zero gravity walking, because they're like these pods of enemies, and if you run, you might wake them up, and enemies might pop out. Like, I mean, you have like once you're more than an hour into the game, you have like 5,000 bullets in your gun anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So you're like slowly plodding from room to room to find out what happened in the freighter. You have to gather 3 things. The one I went into had 13 rooms. And I went through all of them. I gathered up all the stuff, went back to the space station, and I could hand over the stuff I discovered, like the fate of the crew and the fate of the cargo and stuff like that. I'd hand that over to either the scrap dealer, which would get me a bunch of nanites or nano whatevers, or I could hand it to the Merchant Guild, Explorers Guild, like that person. You'd hand it over to them to get standing for them and whatever alien race they belong to. And I think I made like 1.5 million credits from the stuff I looted, which at this point I have like 65 million, so it didn't do anything. So it's fine, but I don't really see myself engaging with it too much because it doesn't seem, unless I'm missing something that it's giving me at the same time, it doesn't seem to be doing anything for me at the moment.
I didn't feel like it really gave me a whole lot to justify the $5 million cost.
Right.
And I didn't have, like on the one that I didn't have any aliens on it. I was mostly fighting the security system, like the auto turrets and stuff.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I didn't have any of those.
And then I also had, like the environment was life support was gone. So I would have to find these heaters throughout the level to keep myself warm.
I had that, yeah.
Okay. So
Which was fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I have many materials at this point. It's like, oh, your shield is down 25%. It's like, all right, hit down on the D-pad, hit XXX, and I'm just back to 100%. Like I've got so much stuff that it's interesting. I think it's a cool idea, and like it's cool that they're really stretching their engine and they're really trying to put something significantly different in there instead of like, here's 4 new biomes, which would be exciting too, but like it was kind of slow, it's kind of plodding, it wasn't super interesting, so it's not bad, but it's one of those things where it's like, you know, I'll get pulled at a jump every once in a while. I'll be like, look at this derelict freighter. I'll be like, I'm gonna hold L1 and R1 and just kind of keep on moving.
And for updates, it'll probably be really awesome.
Yeah, it'll probably give you some like super rare crafting thing to upgrade your ship to like S rank for no money or something.
One more thing for me to worry about.
Upgrading your ship is hilarious because it's like add another slot for like 100 million credits or upgrade your class for like 10,000 nanites. It's like, No. I'm not going to do either one of those.
Yeah.
What are you smoking here? I like No Man's Sky a lot, and I sort of I don't feel myself. It's the problem I've always had with No Man's Sky. When I'm not playing it with my wife, I don't necessarily feel the pull to keep playing it because I am not designing a base or anything, and exploring is largely the same thing over and over again, which is good comfort food, but it's not the most, like, I'm not working distinctly towards the goals in the game are fine, where it's like find the Atlas stations, find the center of the universe. I don't really want to do either one of those. So my staying power, which is my problem, it isn't super long. But that's okay, because come out with like one huge update a year, I will just hop back in and be like, oh, now I can build a mech suit. Super cool. See you later. Like I'll download it on my PS5 and be like, ooh, frame rate. Ooh, cool. See you later. And that's fine. That's okay. No Man's Sky will be waiting for me amongst the stars.
It's a game you can do anything in and have fun.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
As long as it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's all I'm playing this week, so let's take a break. Let's talk releases for the week of September 14th, 2020. BPM Bullets Per Minute comes out on PC. If you haven't seen this, this is the rhythm-based roguelike first-person shooter where you have to do everything on the beat of the music, and it looks super cool.
I'm waiting for a Game Pass release for that one.
Yeah, I suspect I will be really bad at this, but it looks fun. I'm excited to see how it turns out.
Dude, based on my recent experience with the rhythm games, I'll be terrible with it.
Yeah.
It's a roguelike. And
gotta try it.
Everything's a roguelike, and now everything is a roguelike crossed with something else these days, apparently.
Yeah. Something that's not a roguelike, but it's real weird. Fight Crab comes out on Switch. If you wanted to be a crab that fights another crab and you're the size of skyscrapers, this is a game for you. Super weird.
Mm-hmm.
Spelunky 2 releases on PS4. This is... they have said that the number one, only $20, great price. It said it's coming out on Steam in the next couple of weeks because they're running into some last-minute bugs they need to squash. I sort of get the impression that as soon as that comes out, then they're going to start talking about other platforms. Because it's going to come to everything because it's Spelunky. That's just what it does.
I look forward to the Xbox version of this.
Yeah. I sort of assume that with how well indie games do on both Xbox and Switch, that those are probably going to happen pretty quickly. Crysis Remastered comes out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. The PC version comes with the exclusive video slider called Does It Run Crysis, which sets everything to unlimited. So if you really want to try out your new 3090, apparently Crysis is the answer yet again, because everything old is new again.
Which, for the record, that whole thing, these days at least, is because it's so poorly optimized, which is why it still gets struggled with on new PCs.
Yes, that's the secret. And lastly, Super Mario 3D All-Stars comes out for the Switch. Reminder, this is for some reason a limited thing, so scoop it up before March 31st. Whatever. Let's move on to news stories. Microsoft, Umbrella here. We're going to go in chronological order. The Xbox Series S leaked again. This time, however, was a fairly credible leak of here's the announcement trailer. It's a minute and a half long. Whoops. Including the price and the release date. So Microsoft just came out and said, Yeah, that's it. Here's the details. It is $300, which is stupid cheap. Comes out November 10th. Pre-orders go live on the 22nd of this month. It is where the Series X is 4K. This is 1440p. That's that nice half step between 1080p and 4K. Can go up to 120 frames per second. No disk drive. It's pretty tiny too. And has the now infamous grill on the side.
The speaker, if you will.
Yeah.
Yes. And also Phil Spencer had one on his shelf way back when.
Yeah,
and nobody
like in
clocked it.
July. I kind of like the look of it. I like that it's distinct enough from like the Xbox One S, which is just like, yeah, here's like the slim Xbox One. It comes in white. I think that's pretty cool. That $300 price point, real good, real cheap. Way cheaper than I was expecting it to be.
And considering this is also more powerful than the X, when you get right down to it, the only different, not the Series X, but the plain old X. The
Xbox One X. Yeah.
Like, it's more powerful than that. The only difference is it doesn't do 4K. Like, this is a significant power jump.
Yep. For $300.
Half the price I paid for my Xbox One X.
Right. Like, it's really great. That's a really great price. And then 2 days later or something like that, they had the formal announcement of the Series X. That's going to be $500, which again, very cheap. Available November 10th. Pre-orders go live on the 22nd. No real significant announcements for features or hardware or anything. It's kind of that same box again. It's just $500. So that is also the price I was hoping for, which means that I will be getting one because it's not $750, which was an impossibility, but it's nice to know. Here's the date. Here's when you can pre-order it. Here's the exact price.
Yeah. Also, just as a quick aside, my favorite moment in this whole thing, which enough conspiracy theories about if these leaks were designed and all that kind of jazz.
Yeah, who cares?
My favorite thing was the Xbox account at 2 a.m. in the morning posting that monkey side-eye meme thing.
Yeah, of just like, oh, no.
Yeah. It was like,
Perfect.
Again, credit to the social media team over there. Like, Sony got it last time with what I can't even remember what that one was for. But when Sony nailed it on one of them, but that's just chef's kisses to the Xbox account for that specific meme at 2 a.m.
Well, I like that
quality.
I think it was Larry Herb that came out and was like, "Look, we were going to announce it the week after that, like this upcoming week anyway. So why not just release it now?" Yeah, like, who cares? Like, we just released it a week early. You guys are obviously excited about it because this thing keeps leaking like crazy over the last couple months. So, like, here it is. Whatever. Pre-orders go live in like a week and a half. So, they did announce Xbox All Access. The financing plan returns. They did this with the 360 and the Xbox One series. For $35 a month, you get a Series X, Game Pass, and Xbox Live Gold for 24 monthly payments, and Game Pass and Gold last that entire time. So that's a pretty good deal. If you do the math, you are obviously paying a pretty significant amount of money, but you're getting the full package, and you're getting Game Pass. So like, what else do you need to buy at that point? Like, come on. Yeah. Series S is also available via the same plan for $25 a month. So that's also a pretty good deal. Jimbo Jangles says, what model are you going to grab, Boston? The X. Because it's only $500. Like, especially for me, because it's such a big leap from day one launch Xbox One to Beast machine. Like, the $300 one would obviously be enough of a bonus, but I still like having physical media, especially with how quickly they go on sale. That I'd still like.
Have a 4K TV now.
Yeah, so I'll have a 4K Blu-ray player that the PS5 will also have. I'll buy the disc version of that too. Well, I will likely buy the disc version of that as long as it isn't stupid expensive. But yeah, that'll be.
Dude, it's got to be $500. Like, it's got to be.
Sony, if that's not 500, like you can play around with the pricing of the one without the disc, but like you go over $500, like Sony, what you doing? They've also announced, sort of snuck in the press release, that EA Play is going to be added to Game Pass at no additional cost. So that'll be part of PC Game Pass and Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So
I can cancel my EA. My wife can cancel her EA Play or EA Access subscription now.
Yeah, that's one of those where it's like, yeah, man, sure, like just make the best deal in gaming even better. Cool, why not, for the same price? Although, to be fair, the PC, if you have just the PC Game Pass, right, it's coming out of beta this upcoming week, and the price is doubling. I think it's like $8 a month now, or $10 a month. So it's still a really great deal, but just keep that in mind. So I think Microsoft had a bunch of really great announcements this week. I think the $500 was sort of largely the expectation for the Series X.
No. It was the hope. Come on, let's not downplay this. It was the hope.
I mean, I feel like they could go larger than that, but like 500 was really like, hey, if you want to sell it. I told my wife that price, and she was like, that's really cheap. Should I scoop one up too? It's like, that's how reasonably priced it is. And $300 for the Series S, like that's a killer price. I think they could have gotten away with that being like 400 or 450, and people were like, yeah, that's fine. Like that's an okay price, but 300 is just, with that in Game Pass, like that's probably going to do pretty well this holiday season. Speaking of Sony, they're going to have a PS5 showcase happening on the 16th, this upcoming week. The only detail they've shared about this is it's 40 minutes long. So Sony,
price,
still Sony.
Date,
it has to have, it has to have the three things: the two prices, the release date, pre-order date. You got to match that. It would be nice if you would match price. I don't think they're going to match price for the disc-free version.
Boston,
yeah.
I don't know if you know this, but you can already pre-order the $10,000 PS5.
Not from Sony,
Gold.
To be clear. That's from a crazy third party. But I'll be buying the hundreds of dollars platinum controller. Thank you very much. No, I won't.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think the bare minimum expectation is show a bunch of these games again, have one or two announcements. I've seen the thing out there. People are saying like they're going to announce a new Monster Hunter. Maybe this maybe doesn't seem like the right place with TGS around the corner. But you have to announce prices, release date, pre-order date. Like you gotta. Microsoft has gone first. They did a great job. Sony, it is literally your time to do so.
Yeah.
Don't let me down. I'll be watching. And last news story here, a little bit lighter. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World getting a re-release. Finally, thank goodness, Ubisoft somehow realizing they own the rights to that and saying we can do that. Comes complete with the 2 DLC characters, coming out on Xbox One, PS4, Switch, Stadia, and PC, probably on Uplay only. Holiday this year. So thank you to Ubisoft and Brian Lee O'Malley. 2 thumbs up.
Yep.
Let's move on to questions here. First up is from Jamal Kos. You guys have been going at it for what? Like 10 years? It'll be 13 years here
13
pretty
years.
shortly. I personally found the podcast by Google search resembling Best Gaming Podcast. Hey, that's us.
I found it by searching for Video Game Podcast.
Yeah, there we go.
I think that's how I found it too, yeah.
Accidental SEO. And the result then was, speaking about 3 or 4 years ago, TVGP has been going strong and steady for X number of years. Strong recommendation. Clearly, I became a fan ever since, even going through the backlog and listening to episodes from years prior. So my question is this. How do you feel about what the idea/ambition was when you started the podcast against the current situation of it today? Satisfied, disappointed, not giving it any thought. Bonus opinion questions of all the we'll get to that as a secondary one. Yes, Moon.
I was just going to say, if memory serves, because I may or may not have been listening since episode dot,
Yes.
The whole point of the podcast was I mean, you may have ambitions now, but they may have changed. Aims and scopes and things like that may have changed since. But the podcast was originated around the idea of we're literally all sitting on a couch talking about video games.
Yeah.
We're just going to do this anyway, so why not just record it and put it on the internet?
Clicking the microphone on. And the genesis of it really was, I haven't talked about it for a while. Genesis of it was Forza Horizon 2's marathon race. No, Forza 2's marathon races. Forza Horizon 2. And those were just like, all right, let's do like 100 laps. Let's go. And I was listening to a lot of early video game podcasts. I was listening to some of the early tech podcasts like This Week in Tech and The Repair Guy and stuff like that, like Leo Laporte's stuff. But I was listening to some of the 1UP stuff, and I was just like, this stuff is really good. Like, I can do this.
Were you a GFW guy or not?
Not originally, but I eventually got there when it started getting really weird, and that show is probably doesn't hold up, which is why I haven't gone back to it. But Radio GFW was great.
Ryan Scott and Anthony Gallegos have both said that show does not hold up because the content is not suitable for 2020.
Very early 2000s sort of stuff, yeah. And a lot of it was just like, yeah, Brad, Ryan, and I were sitting around talking about video games. So like, why don't I just record it and see how it goes? And now we're on episode 673. I don't think my ambitions were super ambitious at the beginning. I think every week we got excited when we would look at the numbers, something I don't even do anymore. Not because we're big, but just because it doesn't matter. When we're like, 15 people listen to the episode this week. Oh, we don't even know 15 people. So like, it was very clearly, word of mouth was really doing well for us and still continues to do well for us now. I think the only thing that I was surprised by is it's sort of the curse of being early, is that you're never as large as podcasts that are taking what you're doing and doing the next version of it, or like doing it better. Obviously they're going to be bigger, but
or doing it with the backing of a huge corporation with other ways to promote it.
Yeah,
like, look at every single podcast that comes out. There isn't a single one that's got an episode number as high as ours.
Yeah, and that stuff, I never get petty about podcasts. My dream is that like everybody has a podcast, and it's just it's super popular because I think it's such an important and interesting medium. I always get
there's a reason he does 12 of these, folks.
Right. There's
that, and he has a problem.
That's also true. I always do get a little bit of salty when I see the news stories where it's like, Joe Rogan has a super popular podcast and he just started it. It's like, because that dude was already famous. It's like, this dude split off from IGN and made this super successful podcast network because he was already famous doing this thing. Like, that's not notable necessarily. Like, I that always like chaps me a little bit. Not because I wish I had their problems. I'd like their money, that's for sure. Give me some of that. Well, some of that like $30,000 a month friends at the table Patreon cash. But like,
how about the $100 million from Spotify?
Sure, yeah. Like you want now a Spotify exclusive show. Yeah, yeah. Like that sort of stuff. It's still a little bit annoying because it's like, well, a famous person is famous making a podcast because they're famous. Like Conan O'Brien has a famous podcast. Yeah, because he's been on TV for like 35 years. Sure he does. Like, it's fine. I'm glad people are listening to podcasts. I'm glad people are listening to more than just Serial. Serial was a really great Final Fantasy VII moment for podcasts, but I'm glad that they have continued to sort of grow and evolve.
And honestly, the thing I would like to throw out here is, number one, word of mouth does a world of good.
Absolutely.
It genuinely does. Because unless you're famous, quote unquote famous,
right?
You can't say my name to some random Joe Blow on the street and then expect him to care about what I have to say into a microphone. You just can't.
Right.
Like, the only way we find out this kind of stuff is, or people find out, is by telling their friends. And the biggest thing for me is try and tell friends who don't know what podcasts are, because despite the fact
Sure.
that you're listening to this, and despite the fact that I have 15 different podcasts I listen to on a weekly basis, you would be surprised about how many people don't know what a podcast is, or don't care, or see the importance in it.
Let me tell you about telling people that I have started a podcast in 2007, and they're like, "What is a podcast?" And I was like, "Well, it's like a radio show on the internet." And they're like, "Oh, cool." So I like get it on my radio. I was like, "No, like it's just on the internet. Like you can, like the iPhone wasn't out. I was like, you can get it on your iPod." And they're like, "Yeah, I don't have one of those." And it's like nowadays, thankfully, we had our Final Fantasy VII moments. So you can say podcast, and people are like, "Oh, I know what that is." Like it has name cachet. He also asks, like, "Are you satisfied or disappointed?" This stuff takes so much money and time out of my week, and especially out of my Sundays, that if I wasn't still having fun with it 673 weeks into it, I sure as hell wouldn't be doing it anymore. Like, we make negative dollars on this show, and I always super appreciate our patrons, and when people were donating before that, like, that was super great too. But like, this isn't like, all right, clocking back in for another 8 hours. Like, the money's real good, but like, it's killing me. Like, this really is a passion project, especially with how much work it takes to do critical misses. Woof. Yeah. It says, bonus opinion question: of all the podcasts y'all started, which one do you feel most proud of?
I got an easy answer for this one.
Sure.
ODNF. Because it was something that I pitched to Boston as something we could do. Something that I took the reins on. I came up with the concept, came up with the lists, came up with the movies, I was responsible for every step of that process from start.
You delivered me a finished MP3 and I put it on the site. Like, I think one of the things I appreciated about ODNF was that Moon came to me with a fully formed idea that, like, here's the tagline, here's what the show is, here's the entire idea. He didn't invested a serious amount of like elbow grease for it yet, but he invested a ton of thought time where here's what the show is, here's what the potential list of movies is. And that made it really easy for me to say, like, okay, well, yeah, he's taking it really seriously. Like, you learned how to do audio editing from scratch.
How to edit and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, it's something we mentioned as well. I think I mentioned it twice specifically during the ODNF run, is editing is an underappreciated skill.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I appreciate all the editing that goes into the show as a whole. That's one of the reasons why we're so careful about swearing on the main show, because as someone who has edited now, I understand that one swear is 5, 10, 15 minutes of finding it, cutting it out, bleeping it out, doing all that kind of stuff, and getting that stuff fixed.
Making sure it's not accidentally in another track. Whoops.
Yes, I've done that before.
That was me.
But when you do something really special with editing and you're really proud of it, nobody's going to notice. Like, This Is the Police.
That was the one I was going to bring up.
Is one of my favorite edits that you've ever done.
Yeah, for me, it's 2 edits. One of them is Game Club for Portal 2, and one of them is especially the ending edit of This Is the Police, where I like mixed 2 or 3 tracks together. That was like the last one I did because it was a significant amount of work. But yeah, like it when that stuff really clicks and when that stuff really gels, I think it can turn into something really special. All the podcasts I've started, which are the one I'm most proud of, I'm obviously going to like pull out TVGP out of this, because never missing a week for TVGP it's been hard over 673 weeks.
Like, let's not make mistakes as well. The show can be a job sometimes, and sometimes, some weeks, it is very hard to come in here and do this show.
Like this week, I'm not feeling super well because of the wildfires, and I slept like 3 hours last night. It's kind of a job this week. I'm having fun, but like, especially after this, there's a lot of job stuff too, because like I have to edit like 7 episodes tonight.
It's something we as hosts understand is we can come in and, generally speaking, especially pre-show, when we first get into calls with each other, we've been doing this long enough now, and we have chats and stuff beforehand. We will know immediately, like as soon as Boston calls me and I pick up the call, I'll know what type of day he's having just by the look on his face.
If I like look like a corpse with these giant bags under my eyes, I'm just like,
But the whole thing is we come in and we try and make sure that no matter how crap out there is being, in here we always try and have fun. We always try and not let that get to us in certain ways. And sometimes we have short episodes because it's cold or we're sick or something, but mostly we try and not let that stuff get in the way of here.
Our job at the end of the day is still to entertain. And like we're delivering news. We're not journalists, so like we're not scooping anything. We're delivering news and stuff like that.
You're not a journalist. Thank you very much.
That's right. I think for me, probably one of the things I'm most proud of is the relaunch of Game Club. And Game Club did really well for a really long time, and I appreciate, when the Hannah was doing it and he was shepherding it there for a long time. I think that did really well, but I think the version 3 of it, it was TVGP Plays originally, then Game Club, then now it's like Game Club version 2. I've been really proud of Game Club since it came back, because we've done it every month. Whether a game is really good or really bad, we are putting the time in, and we are giving you some sort of impression, and we're giving it genuinely a college try. And I think the show has it's grown really well over time. I think it's been something special. And
I still remember the OG TVGP plays where it's like, okay, get up to this chapter in this game. Over
Final Fantasy 12 was our first one. Yep. It's like, play 3 more hours of Final Fantasy 12. It's like, that was... I wish we could do something like that again, but we're not in our early 20s anymore, so that's an impossibility. I'm also really happy with how, because it's sort of an extension of it, I'm really happy with how We Rogue Like It has turned out. We had this germ of an idea with the binding of Moonpier Boston Rebirth, and it kind of expanded into this other beast that I think has turned into something really fun and really special. And I think that's been something that the show has done really well, is just like, let's just try it. Like, that's how Critical Misses happen. We're just like, okay, let's just do it. Like, let's record 3 or 4 of these episodes and see if it works out. And we did a bunch of them. We're like, okay, this seems like it's working out. And thankfully, everybody's been enjoying it. But like, you just gotta keep trying stuff. Because I think that's how these happy accidents happen. It's just like, I got the tech. We have a 15 minutes, 30 minutes of time here. That's how T-Bomb R started, which is like, I got about half an hour here. What can we squeeze? What hashtag content can we squeeze in here? And that's why I have a problem. I also have a problem with ranking things, but that's a separate problem.
Yeah. That we need to have an intervention about at some point.
Thank you. Top 10 interventions of my life. Jimbo Jangles in chat says Boston dancing to some Lady Gaga. Now that's a throwback vid. YouTube actually recommended that video to me the other day, and I said, no, thank you. I am a mere babe. But seriously, thank you, everyone, for listening to all of the audio we release every week. It's not...
too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not the best example in 2020, but I took the original example from Penny Arcade, which is like, it might not always be good, but you're going to release it on your schedule because people expect it. And not every episode of this is great. And that's okay. There'll be another one next Monday. And I think that's been really important. And thanks for everyone listening to it every Monday. What time is it?
And with that, we're closing it off. It's time to say goodbye. No more shows.
Good luck and good night.
In the next live, folks.
Thank you so much. We didn't make it to episode 1000. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
but I am out of time today, which means that I'll sort of scooch these questions forward another week. Thank you to everyone who's sending in emails and Patreon questions. Can't always get to all of them every week, but I kind of keep pushing them forward here because we're, like we've been talking about lately, top 10 looms. Closer and closer in the distance, so we're trying to squeeze all this 2020
honestly,
stuff in.
I thought you were ranking the thing that people make cloth on. Then I didn't think you meant it's
top
close
10
in the
looms.
distance.
The one in Spiritfarer is super great.
I don't think he needs any more ideas for a podcast, Moon.
Sleeping Beauty, that one is super great. All right. Welcome back to Foodcast. Let's put everything in here. All right.
Oh, I could talk about some
I
food.
need a good BLT, dude. It's been so long since I've had a good BLT. And English bacon, please. Not this American crap. Thank you very much.
It's just thicker, isn't it?
It's more meat, less fat.
Okay.
No.
Sure.
So it cooks a lot. It's not crispy and crunchy. It's like soft and chewy and...
Yeah. That's the stuff.
You mean like Texas bacon?
I don't bloody know Texas bacon, dude.
Texas has their own stuff. Anywho.
East Coast, North Side.
That's our episode this week. Thank you, everyone, for listening. TVGP is where you can find us. You can find and follow us on the right-hand side of the page. Patreon.com/E1M1. The ones are numbers halfway to the super spooky scary goal. That'd be great.
The scary goal?
October goal. That'd be super great. And get all the other cool stuff we talked about at the top of the episode. The Sexy Brutale is our most recent game club game, pushing that back a week because of scheduling issues. So that one will go live on the 20th. That'll go live on the 27th. So just pushing that, scooting that back 1 week. I think that's it. Check out We Roguelike It. Check out Critical Misses. Both of those are really hitting their stride here. I think that's it. So we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Boy, boy, boy,
Bye.
boy, 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 boy. Boy, one boy, one boy, one boy. I actually don't know what I'm doing, by the way.
Having fun.
But we will get copyright struck because it sounded like a song on YouTube.
Did it? Oh, yeah. Dude, everything sounds like a song on YouTube.
Sony BMG says that's the new hit coming out next year. You stole it.
Oh, jeez.
All right, Nimp, hit me with your titles.
I have That Seems Not Nice, Handful of Matches, Skating on the Big Shell, You Need Very Specific Skills, and Legitimate Victory.
All right, Moon, what do you have?
OMG Rampart so OP. Real Sketchy. Blue Shell for Life. My Little Thumb. A Nightmare Incarnate. Turn into a 6-story mansion or turn into a Victorian mansion. 2 different phrases. Hiding in a bush behind a hill. I Just Leave That Planet. And my personal favorite, Top 10 Looms.
Top
10 Looms it is.
Top 10 looms. I have Oops, I Found a Boss. +7 Sword of Holiness. That Seems Not Nice. Turn into a Victorian Mansion, which would have been my my pick, but it sounds like Top 10 Looms is
Or we can always go with Foodcast. Whatever.
I feel like we've done Foodcast at some point already.
Probably.
Jimbo Jangle says show title 0 of 1 Lighthouses. That's a pretty good one too.
Yeah,
I already circled top 10 looms because I feel like you can't not pick that one. Let me know when you guys are ready.
Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's so far out of left field. I have absolutely nothing right now.
Big shout out to Coach Jamal too for asking that question. We haven't talked about the history and the genesis of the show for a while. Rate us 5 stars on iTunes.
What the heck? What do people Google? Hang on. Google search. I was just typing in just looms. That's it, right?
Oh no.
Number, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 top research, or I guess searched for topic. Where did it go? What is the sexiest loom? Followed by, what does loom mean sexually?
I don't even Google that one.
I'm not even Googling it. I'm like, what? How?
Google's letting you know, like, hey, you're
Apparently I'm
probably
missing
into this.
stuff in life.
Yeah, based on your other searches.
Yeah, there's a pterodactyl equivalent in here somewhere, by the way.
Page 5's Loom pictures exclusive.
Yeah, wow, okay. I still don't have a title, though.
I do.
You're like Google searching over there, and you're like, oh, right.
I got a super deep cut that I was one letter off on the name for, so I'm super glad that my primary school education, which is like 6 to 9, somehow stuck in my brain.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to close that window. This is turning into like when I looked up what is a Japanese bathhouse, and that turned into a weird rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Right.
I can imagine.
That's a complex thing.
I think it was a soap house. I think that's what it was.
Well, that's
anyway.
a much different thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Kids don't Google that.
No, nobody needs to Google that.
Yeah.
It was an interesting rabbit hole, but no one needs to know about it.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. I think I'll figure something out.
All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 673 for September 14th, 2020. Top 10 Looms.
John K with the OG flying shuttle.
It's very loomy in here.
Oh, boy. All right, thank you so much, everyone, for watching, listening, hanging out with us. We'll be back next week for more of this stupidity.
I try to find the best dad jokes ever.
I like it. I appreciate it.
And it's usually just because of sleep deprivation.
I also appreciate that. All right, we'll see everyone next week. Bye.
Bye.
See ya.
And we can stop recording.